if you know me, you know myself and this channel. It's just dedicated to healing. First of all, healing. My personal healing and my personal journey. But as well, I believe part of my life purpose is just helping somebody else. And I believe the content always finds people that it needs to find. And I don't know if my story people can relate to it, but I like to believe that it's not a unique story as well. So yeah. I believe I always knew and kind of felt like there was something broken inside of me, but because I had no reference or there was nobody to have those conversations with, I ended up resorting to kind of poetry and my writings, where I share a lot of my thoughts with myself, and that's where I kind of find myself and kind of see the trail to the broken pieces that are inside of me. Hence my book series, Pieces of Complete. It's kind of like on the journey of me healing. My art and my poetry helps me kind of identify the things that are broken inside of me. So if you see a lot of dark poems or sad poems, it's coming from those places, But at the end of the day, all of that letting go is actually, it does help me heal. But particularly, after finishing writing, my latest book, Pieces of Complete 2, I was so sad when I read through it and went through it, and I realized, that I had this deep hole inside of me, and to summarize it, it was intimacy, because I was looking at all the poems that I wrote. And I realized, it's like, I need a positive poem, to put on the channel as well. But I realized I couldn't find any really, positive. And I'm like, all my relationships in a bad state. Do all my relationships end badly? And if that is the case, why? And I started really trailing my thoughts and my experiences, and I realized that to summarize it all, I desired intimacy, which kind of was missing in my life, because in truth, especially when you grow up in a cultural background like I do, or that I did, the tough love, the be a man, the real men don't do this, real men do that mentality and culture really takes over. Growing up, just being a man, I can't necessarily blame anyone in specific. Of course, culture does contribute a lot to it. Of course, parenthood does contribute a lot to it. But I believe, because we're not having conversations as men, we always find ourselves in this position where a young man is in his 20s, in his early 30s, and he is toxic. He is destructive, and he doesn't know it because he hasn't had time to identify within himself or acknowledge within himself the deficiencies that he has. Many men lack intimacy or don't even know what intimacy is. For the longest time, I grew up with my dad for the first about 11 years of my life. He was working hard for the family, and he was an amazing father, but because he didn't know how to really, I suppose his love language, was him providing, and he felt like that was enough. But for those first 11 years, I needed somebody to come back home to, and somebody just asked me how my day was. Just somebody, to come to a soccer game, or just ask me what I like, or try help me overcome something that I couldn't understand at that age. And because I didn't receive the type of love or attention, that deficiency grew with me, and it grew bigger inside of me and entered into my friendships, into my relationships. Even to this day, I've got, I'm still very close with most of my ex-girlfriends, and it's not because I'm an awesome guy, but because I think deep down I don't want to lose anybody, So as much as the romantic side didn't go through, I suppose internally I still don't want to lose anybody, because the intimacy that they gave me was something, or is something, that is still dear to me, and I still want that to be a part of my life. And it has been very toxic of me, I have to say, because they're trying to move on, and they should move on, but I still I loiter around, because for me I still feel like they were able to give me something that I desperately needed. And when I go through times and days and moments where I feel like I need that shoulder again, or that voice again, I end up dialing them and stuff. So of course, all of these things I was not doing them I was not doing them like methodically, but just me reacting to my emotions. Like, I felt like I needed something, and I felt like so and so's voice could really help, so so's opinion could help, So it's only now, as I'm growing, that I'm realizing like all this toxicity, and and where it's coming from, and it stems from that lack of intimacy that I felt like I didn't receive or get enough of, because by the time I was 12, when I moved in with my mom, I won't say it was too late, but I was already so confused. I was already so confused that I just grew up with that confusion, and I just grew up into be this ticking time bomb. It's like the atomic time bomb, where in certain relationships, I was, having pieces and trails of toxicity in those relationships. There's certain friends that I kept, and I've kept around way too long, unnecessarily. There's certain people that I support, and certain people that I keep in contact with, because once again I don't want to lose that little bit of truth, or that honesty, or that realness that I felt with them. And it goes back to to try and fill in that void, because the older that you grow, the bigger that void is, and the more people that I felt, or that I feel like I need to keep around me in order to to maintain my emotional stability and sanity. And I really believe that as men, we definitely need to look into ourselves, because we don't know how bad we are. We don't know how destructive we are, and it's just by God's grace that for me, I was able to reflect through my writing and my art, which has brought me to myself, and to me to having to be honest with myself, and having to accept that I'm not okay, and how I treat certain people is not okay. I'm not, because I thought, just because I'm not being toxic by abusing somebody verbally or physically, that I thought I was a good guy. I thought me being there for my ex-girlfriends, me being there for people who don't care about me, or me being there for everybody, was me doing a good thing. But I realized I was doing all of that because I needed intimacy. I was really, doing it, from the genuine place that I was supposed to be doing it. Not to say I wasn't, genuine in that sense, but I was doing it as a coping mechanism. I wanted to feel important. I wanted to feel, embraced. And at the end of the day, I wanted somebody to say, you were there for me, and because of that, I will be there for you, and, I've been going through loops and circles of me breaking my back for people just so I could hear those words, and the more that it didn't happen, the more I was breaking and falling apart, which means I needed even more intimacy, and I needed even more people, and it was just a toxic cycle within myself, and it just leads to those days where at the end of the day, you just sit and you think, out of all the people that I'm in their lives, but I feel like nobody's in my life, because I've been in these people's relationships and in their lives, looking for them to love me, and fill voids inside of me that they weren't necessarily responsible to fill. You know, my friends aren't bad people. My exes aren't bad people. My dad is not a bad person, but they don't know, or they didn't supposedly sign up to be responsible for my, deficiency. I also have a responsibility to communicate with people that, yo, this is what I need. If you're gonna be in a relationship with me, friendship, relationship, this is what I need from you. And I also have to take blame, responsibility for that part as well, to say, I needed to share that, and I need to share that with people as well. So, and like I'm not saying all of this because I have a solution, but like I shared, I just believe, like, with my whole channel and my lifestyle, like, I just want to start a conversation, because I feel like if I never had a conversation with myself through my art, I would be in an even more dark place than I am right now, and I just feel like, if the conversation is there, people can offload, people can find solutions, we can find somebody who has a solution, and we can help each other, because when you are depressed, when you are sad, when you are distraught, one message, makes such a difference. Knowing someone is genuine makes a difference. 1% changes so much of your world outlook, So, yeah, I'm still in the process, I'm still in the process, I'm still in the journey, but I really hope and pray, that, like I shared before, that, we can all, as people, men and women, we can have these conversations firstly with ourselves, finding the toxicity inside of us and trailing back on how and why that came about, so we can heal, man. So we can heal, because I tell you, I've been in relationships with awesome people. I've had awesome job opportunities. I have an awesome family, but you can't enjoy any of that if, like, internally, like, there's a hole inside of your heart, there's a hole inside of your mind where you're just leaking out. And yeah, I'm just here to say, let's just have that conversation. You may not be good in poetry, or you may not be good in art, but find through your whatever you do on who you are. Why do you go so hard with gym? Why do you go so hard with drinking? Why do you go so hard with your multiple relationships? Like, what's inspiring all of that? And let's work at it, and let's heal. Yeah. Thank you for tuning in.